Clear cutting is a logging practice in which most standing trees are logged at the same time. It's one of the most common logging practices around the world because it's easy, fast, and economical. Negative effects of clear cutting are destroyed ecosystems, loss of biodiversity, ugly landscapes, contribution to global warming, soil erosion, and a negative impact on the water cycle. Clear cutting in Sweden. Sweden is often seen as an environmentally friendly country, but is not always the case, especially considering the environmental problems caused by clear cutting. Clear cutting became popular in Sweden in the 50s and is now the dominant practice. The forest companies saw the method as efficient and economical, and many still claim that it is a good forest management practice. In the 60s, the negative aspects of clear cutting got more media attention because some organisations and individuals pointed out the negative effects of it. In this video, we will describe some of the most negative effects of clear cutting. There are some positive effects too, but we will just focus on the negative ones. The clear-cut areas in this video are located in the south of Sweden, close to the Lake Sommen. Destroyed ecosystem is the result of clear cutting when clear-cut spaces become tree plantations where only a few commercially viable species are raised. These manufactured environments are neither hospitable to wildlife nor resilient to environmental threats. With a natural regrowth of the clear-cut areas, the effects are not as bad, but that is not so common because it is seen as less economical. Loss of biodiversity is a serious problem in many clear-cut areas. The Swedish pine forests are not as biodiverse as the tropical rainforests, so the problem might be seen as small in Sweden. But for many species, a loss of habitat is a severe problem. Some species thrive in areas which have been clear-cut, but for most species, clear-cutting is a problem. Ugly landscapes are often a result of clear-cutting, and that is affecting the recreational value of the land. Forests can be transformed from carbon sinks to carbon sources, mainly in two ways. When trees are cut down, a carbon sink is removed. It is also true that newly planted trees can absorb some CO2, but not to the degree the old trees did. Old trees absorb more CO2 than young ones. In clear-cut areas, there is often a leakage of methane, which is a very powerful greenhouse gas. From being a carbon sink, a clear-cut forest can become an emitter of large amounts of CO2. Soil erosion and a negative impact on the water cycle are potential effects of clear-cutting. The trees are binding water, and when they are removed, the soil can erode and the important water cycle might be disturbed. Healthy forests act as a filter to keep pollution out of the water. For many species, a loss of habitat is a severe problem. Some species thrive in areas which have been clear-cut, but for most, it is a problem. Clear-cutting in Sweden is used because it is faster and less expensive. However, the effects on the soil are enormous, as shown in this video. One harvesting alternative to clear cutting is selection cutting. In the selection cutting method, only selected trees are cut down, so the rest of the trees are not affected. Selection cutting is more difficult, but preserves landscapes and biodiversity. This practice is a close-to-nature management with a natural regeneration. In order to increase selection cutting in Sweden, It's possible to use legislation and economic incentives like tax benefits. Advantages of selection cutting: supports wildlife, less global warming, creates more beautiful and natural looking forest, less global warming because of less methane leakage, and better storing of CO2.